Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of BB News. And today I'm going to be talking Mason Mount and I'm going to be talking Levi Colwill. So, another one bites the dust. It's official. Mason Mount has left the building. So he said his farewell messages to the club yesterday via video. Good PR stunt there. And it was officially confirmed today by Manchester United. And he leaves on a deal worth up to £60 million. And the noise is still going on about who was wrong. Was it Mason Mount who left the club and did a dirty, or was it Chelsea who undervalued the player? So I just want to dive into this because there's a lot of he said, she said, and we're getting the Chelsea version of events and we've got the Mason Mount version of events. So Mason Mount's version of events, which he's telling to a lot of journalists and people who he knows is going to be are influential, social influencers, that he wanted to stay at Chelsea, but they only offered him a 1-year deal and the terms that they offered were not favourable, and they had a deal for him which they withdrew just before the World Cup. It was on the table, during the World Cup. He said he wanted to come back after the World Cup and continue talks. But when he came back from the World Cup, that offer was withdrawn and there was a different offer on the table, which was just for a 1-year deal. That's his side, okay? Chelsea today have come out with their side of the story, is that they felt that he was going to sign a contract and they offered him similar terms to Reece James, and they said they had no issues when dealing with Reece James over a new contract. So they thought that dealing with Mason Mount was going to be a similar smooth plain sailing, but that wasn't the case, and Mason Mount proved to be difficult to deal with. That's why they were sticking by their guns by asking for this high valuation, but in the end they buckled. So as you can see, differing stories. And the thing is, depending on who you want to believe, that's how it's going to define your truth. And I keep saying this. I said it at the time when it was Mason Mount. It came out that Mason Mount was joining Manchester United a couple of weeks ago. I said it at the time. And the thing is, I don't like to mention names on my channel, or it's not name calling anyway, this one. But there's one person I want to mention because I was actually on his space a week ago or 2 weeks ago when and his name's Alex Goldberg, and he came out and said he knows the truth, and he had a little dig, not a dig, but he said that Fabrizio Romano was giving the club side of the story, when Fabrizio had reported that if Mason Mount said he will just see out his contract and go on a free, so he's putting pressure on Chelsea to sell him. And Alex Goldberg's take wasn't quite like that, and he's saying that he was more driven out of the club, and he had it under good authority that this was the case. But I want to say to you, Alex, and anyone else who follows this narrative, listen, Alex Goldberg may not be a journalist per se, but he is a influencer. He's a social influencer, and Mason Mount and his camp, they know this. He's got over 500 followers, so there's probably more engagement from Chelsea fans from Alex Goldberg than there is from like some of the media, like the Sun, the Daily Mail, the Mirror, etc. So they know that he's gonna be on the side of the Mount camp, and he's going to be spinning it like it was all to do with the club and nothing to do with Mount. They're not silly, so they're going to tell him their version of events, because you're not their friends, Alex. You say that you're not your friends. At the end of the day, you're a journalist, because you get people on your show and they come on and you interview them, and he knows, and they know that, so they know that if it comes from you, who is not like, as I said, a quote unquote journalist per se, then it's going to feel more authentic than coming from maybe another journalist, and that will be taken more as a PR spin. So that's what you've got to take into account as well. When, you know, a lot of people, other people, I think there's a couple of other guys from social media saying they know under good authority. They know what they've been briefed by the Mount camp. And the guy, Tony Mount, is his father. He's wanted Mount out of Chelsea for a while, actually. He wanted him to leave when he was at Vitesse Arnhem, but it was Mount who said he wants to stay and prove himself to be the next star to come out of Chelsea after John Terry. He kind of proved himself for a couple of years, so he probably thought, job done, I've come and I've established myself as a first teamer. But he didn't want that legacy at Chelsea. If he really wanted that legacy at Chelsea, he would have done all in his power, I think, to stay at the club. So anyway, I think it was Mount Tony Mount who had a word with Chelsea to try and push the deal on, and in the end he got his way, and he's now a Manchester United player. For me, as I'm saying, I don't know if the Mount camp are telling the truth, or I don't know if it's a Chelsea side who are telling the truth. But if you are in the Mount camp, as I said, you're always going to say it's PR from Chelsea. If you're in the Chelsea camp, you're going to say it's PR from Mount. And I still stick with what I said before. I don't know what went on. I don't even care if Mason comes out of the horse's mouth that Mount said this. He knows that I know how it's going to be played out in the media. And he's like a media expert. He's got lots of PR around him. So, you know, Mount could well be telling the truth or not. And Chelsea could well be telling the truth. But I hate when people say, oh, I've got it under good authority. This is what happened. And this is definitely what happened. No, you don't know what's happened. Because you wasn't sitting at that negotiation table. You just know the story that somebody wants you to know. So that's the way you got to look at things, guys. Not, oh, because that person told me it's got to be truth. No, that's not the way it works. And the other story I want to talk about, again, where a lot of times, you know, people look at, take some quotes and just blow it all out of proportion. And this is the Levi Colwill story. Levi Colwill is somebody Chelsea rate highly. There's some links with Liverpool at the moment going on. But he said he wants to be... And the word is, he hasn't said that he wants to be guaranteed first team football and has to play every week. He wants assurances that he will be playing football. And those assurances not mean, oh, I need to be in the team week in, week out. He wants to know that he's going to be a part of the squad. He's going to be a part of the selection process. He's not going to just come to Chelsea and just to be sitting on the bench without any opportunities. He knows more than most, like any footballer. If he plays and he doesn't play well, then he's going to be out of the side. If he plays and he does well, then he expects that his performances are going to be what keeps him in the side, and not a case of, he plays a couple of good games and then somebody else, say Badiashile for instance, Badiashile comes in, Badiashile has a couple of stinkers, but because he's the more senior player, he stays in the side while Colwill's there digging his, just warming the bench. So he just wants a fair crack of the whip. And there's nothing wrong with asking for that, because we've seen other players at Chelsea who've not been granted the opportunities that they deserve. If you look at Lewis Hall, as an example, last year when Cucurella was putting in some poor performances, Lewis Hall wasn't seen in the first team until right towards the end. And the only reason he was seen was because of an injury to Cucurella, and we had an injury to Ben Chilwell. So Lewis Hall could have had more opportunities when Cucurella was performing below par. So that's what I think the guy's trying to say. Just give me the opportunities. I'm not. Nobody's guaranteed a team in a place in the team. But as long as I'm given assurances that if I train well, play well, then I'll be getting opportunities. And that's not too deep, guys. I don't think that's a lot to ask for, neither. So that's my take on things here. So over to you guys. So what do you think about this Mason Mount story? Is it Mason? Is it the club? Or are you like me? You don't know. It could be somewhere in the middle. And the Levi Colwill situation, do you think he's making unfair demands, or do you think, like me, he's just wanting to know what opportunities he can get at Chelsea before committing to a long-term deal? Stick your comments in the section below, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified every time I make a new video. So take care for now. Bye bye.